What
coming out this week?
up? Well, we just started, Gary. Sorry. We were chatting a little bit, and I started the show because I realized we were a little bit late. But we'll be able to continue that conversation right now after my great introduction. Welcome to the NBA Rundown, brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm your host, Fred Astaire, joined today by Tyler Hicks and Gary. Gary, what were you asking Tyler here right before we started?
Yeah, y'all coming out to the party this week or what?
Oh, I'm not going to make it. I was pretty close to being able to do it, but you know what? I have so much work right now. I don't want to fly all the way out there to spend like a majority of my time in the hotel room, like writing articles and running numbers. So next year, though, I'll make sure to plan ahead so I'm not in this situation.
Yeah, honestly, I won't be there either. I didn't realize about it until too late. Couldn't get the time off from work.
Yeah, but we're definitely gonna
go
for it next year. That was bad planning on our part, but you'll have to keep us updated on everything that's going on, and hopefully we'll see some excellent athletic competitions as well as all the winning that's going on. So, yep, that is what's going on here at the Run Pure family. But we are going to jump into today's slate. We are going to start with a game that we were talking about. Hey, before we went on the air, and we're kind of surprised that this line didn't move more. I'm talking about the Los Angeles Clippers. They're heading to Cleveland to take on the Cavaliers. Minus 7.5, total 212.5, plus 256 for the Clippers on the money line. But Gary, you made a very salient point right before we went on. This game was minus 5.5 last night when it opened, right? Then they rule out Robert Covington, Marcus Morris, and Reggie Jackson. Normally you'd say Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris, not a big deal. Well, if you watch the Clippers this year, it is a big deal. That's their two best players right now. I mean, you could argue Zubac or Hartenstein or Mann or whatever, but in reality, right, this is the leader. This is the veterans of this team. I'm kind of surprised they punted this game. So these guys must really be hurt. I could take a look at the standings. Maybe they feel, pretty comfortable with where they're at. But regardless, I'm surprised that the line didn't move more. Maybe they don't rate these guys as highly as we do. But I'm surprised. I would have thought that it was moving to 8 or 9. Tyler, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on this game, and what do you think about what I consider to be a lack of line movement here with the Clippers and the Cavaliers?
Yeah, I mean, there's some guys on the Cleveland side you still got to worry about. Markkanen's questionable, Dean Wade questionable, Rondo's out now, LeVert's down to questionable, so he might actually show his face for the first time in a while. But, I mean, if all those guys are out, and that kind of evens the playing field a little bit. Jared Allen's still out for Cleveland. I'm not looking to lay 7.5 with just Garland and Mobley out there. So my favorite play in this game would be the under 212.5. I'm not sure how they get there with all these guys out. And Cleveland's more of a defensive team. So that's my only play in this game is that under 212.
All right. Yeah. And just a quick check on the standings. Full disclosure, I've been having so much fun watching the Indian Wells. This is probably the least amount of NBA I watched over a weekend since the season started. But yeah, see, the Clippers are 3.5 games behind Minnesota, who's playing fantastic, and they're 5.5 above the Lakers there, who are not playing well at all. So I'm pretty sure they realize, hey, we're going to be the 8th seed. So I guess it does make a little more sense after the checking the standings. So Gary, seems like we like the Cavaliers here. We don't think the line moved enough. Go ahead and break that down, and then. As much as we don't like betting on the Clippers, I think we're going to like them when we're building these lineups, right?
Yeah, for sure. I kind of disagree a little bit with Tyler. I mean, I think they're going to blow them out. I mean, I think this is going to be a double-digit win for the Cavs, even with these guys potentially Markkanen and sitting. I just think, Garland's going to do his thing. He's going to have his way with his team. And also down low too. I mean, they're just going to smash this team. They have Reggie Jackson and Marcus Morris are two of their highest usage guys in their lineup. So yeah, I definitely am on the Cleveland -7 here. And I mean, this is going to start us off on the DFS slate too, right off the jump street, because you have severely underpriced guys now on both sites with these guys out. You got Amir Coffey, he's in the mid 3K range. You got Luke Kennard, BJ Boston, Terrence Mann, even at 5,000. I see 5,000 on both sides. So he's 5,800 on FanDuel, 5,000 on DraftKings. So I think you're going to want 2 to 3 of these guys. I think 4 is probably going to be what the optimals are going to be pushing in, just because they're so cheap. And there's a lot of studs on this slate to pay for, so they're going to be very popular. But it's hard to get away from, in my opinion. Two guys that I would be a little wary of here would be maybe Nicholas Batum and Zubac. Seems like they're punting this game. So those are the two of their other regular guys who could see their minutes cut down here. So Coffee, Kennard, Boston, Mann would be my primary focus. But again, they're going to be popular, and I don't hate going to a Hartenstein because they're going to need his size here. He's 4,900 on DraftKings, and let me see what his price is on FanDuel. 4,800 on FanDuel. So you probably get him a little lower owned on both sites. It's a little easier to play him on FanDuel as he is a power forward, and on center he's a center on DraftKings. So yeah, this is going to be a very chalky game. I'm not sure I want to play anybody on the other side. I just think Garland's 9,000. Like I just don't want to pay that. There's studs on the slate that I'd rather pay for. Mobley, I guess you can talk me into at 7,700 on DraftKings, but on FanDuel he's 8,800. So definitely not playing him on FanDuel. So yeah, lots of Clippers and to start us off here tonight.
Yeah, you answer my question because I think that this is really, talk about just normal game theory, and this can apply to any night, right? Do you have to run it back if you load the game, right? And you talked about, hey, if you load the game, be aware you're going to be chalky, right? You're probably going to be eating a lot of chalk there too. And then you look, man, not a lot of good run back options. Like, let's say you even want to get cheap with your run back. I mean, do I really want a Goodwin? I mean, maybe if LeVert is ruled out, can I consider them here at 44,000 at 4K? Or, I mean, I just don't really see a lot of good options here on the run back side for the Cavaliers. Maybe a Kevin Love? I don't know.
No, I can't pay that price. I mean, he's 6,600 on DraftKings. Definitely not playing that. He's 5,900 on FanDuel. That's just more of a price thing for me. Rather just get in these cheap guys and get different elsewhere. All
right. See, and I like that because a lot of people will say you have to run it back. I think this game's a good example that no, you don't always have to run it back. So it can be very situational. Anything more on this one, Tyler, before we move on?
No, that's it for me on that game.
All right. The Atlanta Hawks are hosting the Portland Trailblazers. The Hawks are laying 13.5, total 229.5. Portland finally ended their losing streak this weekend, right? They had won 6 in a row, or lost 6 in a row. 5 of the 6 had been by 20 points or more. The one that wasn't was 14. So definitely not a good team. They finally got a win here, but it looks like we're still missing a lot of the big players. On the Portland side, you pull up Basketball Monsters, just a sea of red with no Justice Winslow, no Eric Bledsoe, no Simon still. And on the other side, missing some bigs here for Atlanta, no Danilo Gallinari, and John Collins has officially been ruled out when I was working on this game this morning. That hadn't been decided. So, at least we get the news now, right? We're not having to juggle. Well, some people like the late juggle, right, Gary? But for me, I like to get all this stuff done early. So I like when they give us the news early. Tyler, for me, when it comes to the Blazers, you just either fade them or you pass. I'm not going to bet on the Blazers. And I love taking points too, right? I love these double-digit spreads. But I just can't do it with this team. Hey, they got their little win. Hey, they feel great. I think Atlanta smashes them. I would lay it here. I don't love laying 13.5, but that's definitely the way that I lean. What are your thoughts on this one, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm laying the 13. They're going to blow this team out. They play a lot better at home. They're not going to be able to stop Trae Young. I know Collins and Gallinari are out. That's not going to matter here. I could see Trae Young had 40 points last game. He could do it again right here. So I like his double-double and win like we the people called out. I like the minus 13.5. And I would even play it up to like maybe even you owed it up to like a minus 19.5 because I could see them just wiping the floor with this team.
All right. Gary, give me your thoughts on that. And the chat thinks that Onyeka Okongwu is a lock for DFS. What are your thoughts on the game, and then break down how the lineups are going to be built?
Yeah, man, I hate betting these huge spreads. So I definitely lean with y'all on the Atlanta side here, but I'm not going to bet it. And on the Okongwu, so I know Collins is out, but Okongwu, I don't think he's going to be affected by this unless Capella's out. I think he's strictly going to be Capella's backup regardless. I think we're going to see huge minutes here for DeAndre Hunter, Kevin Huerter. All the starters.
So you think they just move Hunter to the 4?
That's possible. I think that's quite possible for sure. And
Okay.
bring Bogdan in the starting lineup, maybe. I just don't think Okongwu is affected that much by the John Collins news. So I'm not probably going to go there. I'll let other people play that. There's a lot of other. He's 3,400 and he takes up a center spot. The center spot is so valuable. I see his projection as 20 DraftKings points. I'd rather get. There's so many other centers on this slate that I'd rather pay to play than lock in this guy early at 7:30. There's a lot of late games. There's a lot of news that could happen. I'm not going to be playing Okongwu. And honestly, I don't know if I'm going to be too high on any of this game tonight. You can make a case for Trae Young, of course. He just put up a monster performance yesterday, 63 DraftKings points. But it is a back-to-back, huge spread. I think I'm just going to stay out on this game.
All right, and I think that's fair. I think from a betting perspective, right, you're fine to just cross it off your list as well. You talked about the center spot, and there is a game with the center spot that me and Tyler are going to be talking about before the game, during the game, and after the game because it features the MVP race, right? The Denver Nuggets in Philadelphia to take on the 76ers, right? Right now, Joel Embiid, number 1 by NBA odds. Nikola Jokic, number 2 by NBA odds to be the MVP. How much will this individual game go into how it's decided? I'm personally not too sure. I really don't follow the awards market as much as everybody else does. But since Tyler and I kind of started this debate, I've been following it a little bit more. And of course, how I'll be rooting for here tonight. But Tyler, I'm not betting this. I'm not betting this, man. I think it's a tough spot for Denver. And unless someone's ruled out, I think the line is pretty good. And then if someone's ruled out, I think the line move will be appropriate. So, hey, okay, I'm being a little bit hesitant here. I'm being a little scared. I know you're not going to, though. So, Tyler, let me know how you're approaching the Nuggets in the 76ers.
Well, of course I'm not going to be scared because this team's beat one team with a winning record since February 6th. And it just so happens to be the Warriors that have drugged themselves through the last 2 months. This Denver team's also on their 7th game in 14 days. Mm-hmm. This team's fatigued. They couldn't beat the Raptors. If all these guys are out here for Philly tonight, they're going to smash them. Point guards against Denver in the last 30 days, 27 points, 3 threes, 6 assists. There's your difference right there. Mm-hmm. The centers can battle it out. They can give even games. James Harden's going to absolutely torch anything Denver has in their backcourt. Put them all out there. He'll run right through all of them. So there's going to be your difference maker tonight. I'd lay 76ers -3. Harden double-double and win. I'd even sprinkle on the triple-double and win, and maybe even 4+ threes and win. But
You're not worried about the fact they went to overtime against Orlando last night?
No.
Okay. I didn't think you would be. I just had to throw that out there in case you guys were like me and just watching some tennis or maybe taking the night off sports yesterday. That was a surprising result that it took the 76ers to get to overtime to beat the Magic. But all that matters in that win column in the standings is that they got the win. Quick check on the standings here. The Sixers are still number 2, but they are tied with the Bucks. They're only a couple percentage points ahead, 0.003 percentage points ahead. So they definitely need this win if they want that number 2 seed. Gary, how are you approaching this one? And are we worried about some late shenanigans with Philadelphia pulling their players? Doc Rivers is the worst when it comes to this.
So I know there was a quote a couple days ago. I'm going to have to go find it. But, he's already said that with so many games coming up, they're going to be careful with how they manage both of these guys. I think if one of them were to sit, I think it's going to be Harden. I would personally lean towards him sitting in this spot. He hasn't looked right. He hasn't been shooting great at all. He might be just a little bit dinged up. Like I said, it's a shot in the dark. I think Harden is likely to sit here. We've seen it time and time again with the Sixers team, like you said. And I don't hate taking a shot at the Denver money line here, knowing, anticipating that stuff. But that's a true gamble, not a 1-unit play or anything, probably like a half-unit play for me. And that's about it. And as far as DFS goes, I think I'm just going to watch this game and not be invested. Centers against Philly, I mean, they haven't third fewest fantasy points for centers against Philly over the last couple weeks. I just don't. I'm Joker. He's MVP too. I think he's a beast. I think he should be MVP again. But I just can't play anybody in this game. It's just going to be the Harden, or it's going to be the Embiid and Joker show, and all the other guys are just priced up too much for me.
What if it would be super square, super chalky to just stack Embiid and Jokic and then go all value?
I'm looking right now on DraftKings, and I'm not seeing a ownership on either one of them, 100%. So I think you'll be different if you stack those two for sure.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I thought that would be kind of like a real, common way that people would approach it. Tyler, are you concerned that Harden sits tonight?
No, I think he'll play.
Okay.
I mean, there's always that possibility, but I think they would have him listed as questionable if he was more likely to sit. Mm-hmm. With them sitting at probable tags, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, this is Doc Rivers, though, man. I've seen Embiid not be on the report before and him been scratched like after the game lock, so you can't even move him out of your lineup there. So maybe I'm just bitter about Doc Rivers for the couple times that's happened to me. Tyler, anything more on this one before we move on?
Nope, that's it. Philly rolls and they get the job done. He drops to like minus 200 to win the MVP, and that's it.
Oh, I can't wait. So we will have some bragging rights tonight, regardless of what happens. So not a play for me, but I'll be rooting for Denver, and you guys know why. Let's move to the next one. The Charlotte Hornets are laying 10.5 in Oklahoma City against the Thunder. 231.5 is the total. Thunder plus 465 on the money line. Tyler, I don't want anything to do with that money line, but I'm going to take the points with the Thunder. Again, man, this team they just love covering spreads, man.
Would you say you were getting with this game?
I got plus 10.5 on Bookmaker right now.
There's plus 12 on FanDuel.
Well, that's plus 11.5 on DraftKings.
Well, Bookmaker's probably got all the guys like me that just bet the dogs all the time. Well, I like your numbers a lot better, but I still like it at 10.5, right? I mean, this team, who'd this guy they brought up now? Waters or something? Averaging 13 points. Yeah, Lindy Waters, right? Yeah, I mean, it sounds like something I get at Whole Foods. Unbelievable here. The guy's averaging 13 points in the last 3 games. It just seems like they keep getting these G League guys that want to hustle. They want to prove their place in the NBA. And even though they're not getting the wins, which is great because I know they want that high draft pick, they're keeping these games close. Now, what's dangerous here is Charlotte does blow teams out, right? They just blew out the Pelicans by 22. They have that awesome offense, number 1 in the NBA in just raw points per game, not offensive rating, but just raw points per game, highest scoring team in the league. So obviously it is a little tough, laying points against such a potent offense, but it's almost like that Pavlovian response, right? I bet the Thunder plus the points. I get money. I want to keep doing it. I'm on the Thunder. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, of course. Give me the points with the Thunder here. I mean, I know they played last night. They played a lot better of a team than the Grizzlies. They kept that matchup within 8. Yeah. SGA is going to absolutely eat against the Charlotte team. They play a lot less defense than Memphis, and he put up 31 last night. Baisley had a good game, so love the plus 12. And, of course, I'd go to SGA over 28.5 points and over 35.5 points plus assists. And then if you think maybe, because Charlotte has played bad this year, this is one of them games OKC, I think, could sneak in and win. Shea to score 30 and win is 10-1. I think those odds are a little stretched out right there, so I might sprinkle on that.
Yeah, pretty much doubles the money line. Let me grab 2 of these questions or comments from We the People real quick. Rozier, he's been killing this prop. Are we worried that Isaiah Thomas cuts into some of that usage? What do you think of a Rozier over on PRA, Tyler?
I'd still back it. I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about a midget.
You have to love SGA's matchup even more, though, right? If he only gets 1 or 2 possessions against Isaiah,
if Isaiah Thomas gets like 20 minutes this game, SGA is going to put up like 50.
I think he did last night. I think he got 17.
Yeah, good luck tonight.
So pretty close. He likes Bridges as well. What do you think of that one?
I don't hate that either.
All right, yeah. So it could be a high-scoring game. It'll be interesting to see, right? Oklahoma City has played fairly slow. The Hornets play really fast. So let's see who dictates and controls the tempo of this game. Gary, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I love the Thunder. I love betting on the Thunder when they're big dogs like this. I think they get it. I think they get it done. I don't think they get it done enough to get the W, but definitely keep it within that 11.5 on DraftKings. So yeah, definitely like that. And from a DFS side, I mean, it looks like this game is going to be a little bit more popular than the last game. I don't know. I mean, Lindy Waters, he's 3,400. I just don't know if you're going to need him tonight. He's not projecting to have any ownership. I mean, we have the Clippers guys who are command most of the ownership, but he does present, an interesting spend down option if you want to get a little bit different. I don't think I'm going to do that personally. I think I'd rather get different I normally try to lock in the good value early and then try to get different with my lineup elsewhere with my higher price guys. So I don't think I'm going to go there, but man, I always love Terry Rozier. I think, he always comes in at less than 5% ownership. I'm seeing a little bit more than that projected on him today. But man, he could really crush in this matchup. Definitely like him. Not sure what to do with everybody else. I'm not really a Bridges guy. 7,800. I'd rather go elsewhere from a DFS perspective. Basley, don't think I'll be chasing his game from yesterday. I mean, yeah, he put up 50 DraftKings points yesterday, and he's still only 5,300. He's popping a little bit, and he's showing to have about 25% ownership on this slate. I just don't think I'm going to do it there. So, yeah, other than like Rozier, I don't know how much I'll have of this game.
All right. Anything more on this game before we move on, Tyler?
Nope, that's it for me on that one. We could jump to Minnesota, San Antonio?
Yeah, Minnesota's right now laying 3.5. It was 4 earlier today. The Spurs plus 3.5, 240.5 is the total, plus 149 for the Spurs money line. So Tyler, I kind of got a pretty basic handicap here. I like the Timberwolves. I like the 3.5 here. Timberwolves won 6 of the last 7 games. They're definitely making a push, right? This is the first time trying to make the playoffs. They want to get up to that 6. Hey, they're probably agreeing with you. Nuggets might catch an L tonight. That gives them a chance to move up in the standings. Now we look at the Spurs. They sat everyone against the Pacers. Well, not everyone, but they sat DeJounte Murray and Keldon Johnson, which was enough to indicate to me that they're not necessarily serious about making this push. When I look in the standings, right, they're 12th right now. They're only 2 games behind the Pelicans, and you would think they could reach it with all the injuries the Pelicans had. But, we saw this with the Raptors last year. Yeah, it was last year when they were like, why push for the play-in? We could be in the lottery. And look how it turned out for that team, right? They end up with Scotty Barnes. How important has he been to him compared to what they would have got at like 15 or 16, maybe a project like my guy Şengün, right? But he couldn't have made an immediate impact the way that Scotty Barnes is playing. I think the Spurs are kind of a similar franchise or similar organization. And so when I say this, I don't think that these guys are not going to play hard when they're out there. I think everyone on the floor is going to play hard. But I think that Popovich in the rotations, right, is going to be a little conservative. We don't need to run Murray 42. Maybe we only run 33, 34, right? Maybe we run 10-man lineups, right? Try and get some of these guys out there. Well, the Timberwolves are going to be all go, ready to go here. So, kind of a simple handicap, Tyler, but I just think that the Timberwolves want it more. And I think that the Spurs are more worried about player development than the actual outcome of the game. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree with you. Definitely. I think they're definitely worried about player development. We had some Spurs rumors come across during some of the earlier games we talked about, and they're talking about Pop's successor when he retires, probably at the end of this year. And
is he going at the end of the year?
I mean, more than likely, I think so. I mean, I think he's got to hang it up eventually soon. I think what he was hanging around for was that would he pick up in the last couple games the most wins as a head coach?
Yeah, he just passed on Nelson.
Yeah, so I think that's what he was hanging around for. I think that was what his main goal this year. He knew it wasn't playoffs. There was no championship aspirations. So just like you said, I think it's all player development from here. Minnesota's fighting to get out of that play-in spot, and they know right now is their chance. Denver's kind of fatiguing. This team's rolling, so you got to pick up the win here. I definitely lay the 3.5. I like the cat double and win that We the People's talking about in the chat. It's plus 114. You could do cat plus 20 plus points and win at a little better value. Or you could do D'Angelo Russell because I don't see Murray playing much defense today. So that'd be my way of approaching this game. And the other thing I like in here, spread, I think his total's way too high. Give me the under here at, what is it, 241.5?
I got 240.5, but yeah.
I'll gladly take the under here.
All right. Gary, you always got to be tempted when you see a total that high. How are you approaching this game?
Yeah, so I'm definitely with y'all on the Timberwolves side as far as betting goes. And from a DFS side, I mean, it's tough. I mean, DeJounte Murray he's so good. I think he's still a little bit underpriced. I definitely like him. I'm probably just going to stick to the main guys, though. It's going to be a DeJounte, a D'Lo, and Edwards, and maybe Cat, and that's about it for me. Not core guys, but they're showing to have little ownership on this slate, but definitely some GPP options that can help separate you with those earlier, chalkier value options.
All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that we are all on the same side in this game. So hopefully it works out for us. This is another game I had problems getting involved with. The Washington Wizards plus 11.5 in Golden State, taking on the Warriors. 226 is our total. Wizards plus 589 here. Wizards are playing bad, man. They actually lost to the Lakers, right? They're the only team the Lakers have beaten in a while, right? That's not good if you're Washington. And obviously they've had a tough season. Kyle Kuzma's playing well. The rest of the team, not so much. 11.5, pretty high number. Klay Thompson went absolutely ballistic in that game against Denver, right? I don't know his numbers off the top of my head, but it was over 30-point performance, and it seemed like the guy couldn't miss. That's the guy that they're going to need if they're going to make this push here. Return of Draymond Green, is that tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, so that tells me why this number is that high. How do you expect him to play, Tyler, in his first game back? Do you think he'll get a lot of minutes, maybe only 20, 25? And how are you approaching
I can get you the exact on that. Give me 1 second because they tweeted it out earlier. Underdog did.
Oh, good. Well, thank you.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Yeah, Draymond Green, calf and back, expected to be limited to 20 to 23 minutes for around a week. So expect that tonight.
How effective do you think he'll be in those 20 minutes?
I mean, I think he'll be all right. I mean, it's not like a team that's going to be like Washington doesn't play much defense, and there's not many guys out there that are going to beat him up down low, so he should be able to just fall right back into his role. Mm-hmm. The key here now, spread, that would push me over the top where I think Golden State blows them out. There's another name on this injury report that's questionable, Andrew Wiggins. Mm-hmm. He plays. I think they blow that number out of the water. I think they wipe the floor with him. If he's out, I'm going to stay away from the side. I think they still win. And then I like We the People's calling the over because Washington's not going to play much defense. Golden State working Draymond back in. Their defense isn't going to be as good. And if Wiggins is out, this game's going to fly over. So I like the over. And if Wiggins is in, I'll lay the points.
All right. Gary, how are you approaching this one? Kristaps Porzingis back in. I don't know. I know that he's not too popular there at Run Pier, but he has been putting up some numbers.
Yeah, I think from a DFS perspective, I don't like this game at all, especially the Warriors side. You got Klay Thompson is expensive. Steph Curry's $10K, but I mean, man, everybody's back now. I'm definitely not going to have any Warriors, and I mean, even on the Washington side, I mean, you can't play these guys. I mean, Draymond's back. I don't know about the over in this game just because I don't think Washington's going to be able to score. But I don't have a huge take on the betting side, but I'm definitely not going to have any on the DFS side.
All right. Yeah, I don't really like it from a betting perspective. I think they did a good job setting this line. And they know they're doing that, right? When they put these big lines up that, I don't know. It can come down to the end. The Warriors could blow them out, but at the same time, they could get a comfortable victory and not cover, right? They could be ahead by 8 to 10 the whole time, or be ahead by 14 and just lose the 3 garbage time minutes, So I'm fine staying away from this game, and I'll even probably stay away from it with my remote control tonight. So, Tyler, if something exciting happens, send me a message. The Chicago Bulls are in my hometown. They're in Sacramento tonight. The Kings are catching 3.5 at home. The total is 235.5. Kings are plus 150 on the money line. Do we have Zach LaVine news? Because I know that matters. He's still questionable. We don't know. On the King side, Jeremy Lamb's out. Sabonis is back. Justin Holiday's questionable. Alex Len is questionable. I don't even think that really matters to the spread. Personally, I don't know. I don't know how you can back the Kings right now, Tyler. Bulls haven't been playing the best, but still, this is the Kings we're talking about. Do you agree? I would lay the 3.5. I'm fine staying away from it, but I like laying the 3.5 here more than taking Sacramento. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, if you had to pin me down in this game, this is the only game I could bet tonight, I'd probably take the Bulls. But for the most part, I'm just going to throw this game away. I ain't got nothing in this one. Just because it's the Bulls, I don't trust them. I could see them blowing this game and Sacramento winning. And we've seen Sacramento play better at home, but we've also seen them just lay eggs. So stay away from me altogether.
Isn't that totally a Kings thing to do too? To win the games that
you don't think they're going to win,
yeah.
and then you back them, and then they get the doors blown off them. So staying away completely from this one.
All right, Gary. I talked bad about the Kings, but one player that we cannot talk bad about, especially when it comes to daily fantasy, is my guy De'Aaron Fox. Definitely thriving. With Halliburton out, right? Not on the team anymore.
I love the attitude switch on Fox.
We love it too, man.
2 months ago? No, I'm talking about yours. 2 months ago, you wanted him out of town. You couldn't stand him. Now he's your guy because he's back putting up points. He's getting double-doubles.
It's amazing.
No. To be fair, my idea was I would rather build around Halliburton because he actually can play defense, right? And Fox is in year 5, and we still haven't seen it. And I think the ceiling with this team now, right, with Sabonis and Fox, 2 offensive players, right? You can be like a lower half of the playoff seed, right? Like a 4 through 8 style seed, right? But if you can't defend, you're not going to be able to win in the playoffs. So I just didn't like building around Fox. But hey, it's what we've got, right? I mean, the Tyler, right? Like some nights when I was your age, right? We go out, maybe not the best looking girls there, but we go with what we got, right? We're going to take advantage of what's there. And so that's my attitude towards De'Aaron Fox right now. Gary, how are you approaching this game?
Man, I really like the Bulls here. I think the Bulls are going to get it done. I like the -4 here on DraftKings when I'm seeing. And from a DFS side, like the only guy on Sacramento that I'll have interest in tonight is Sabonis. He's 9,200 on DraftKings. He's 8,600 on FanDuel. Bigs have done work against old Vucevic this season, so I definitely like him. I can't play Fox here. I mean, man, he's been great, but his price is all the way up at 9,700 now. I mean, on the 2nd of March, he was 8,100. I mean, his price is definitely warranted. He's just coming off a 70 burger against the Jazz. I can't do it. He's going to have Alex Caruso following him around, chasing him around all game. I think, and also, I mean, I really like Caruso in this spot. He came back his first game, last game, and he played 28 minutes, it looks like. So it looks like 29 minutes. So it looks like he's fully back. He had five stocks in that game, 4 steals and a block. I think he's just going to be hounding Fox all game. I think their defense improves a lot with him back in the lineup. And like I said, from a betting side, I really like the Bulls here. And on the Bulls side from the DFS, other than Caruso, we got to wait for Levine. I do like Nikola Vucevic here. He's 8,500 on DraftKings. I think that's too cheap in this matchup. Centers just abused the Kings as well. But I cannot pay 9,800 for DeMar DeRozan. I mean, he's been everything for this team, but it seems like his threshold is like 55 DraftKings points. And I think I want a little bit more from my 10K guy if I went that route. So yeah, that's how I'm approaching it.
All right. And we've been driving pretty straight down the path on today's show, but we, the people, has just got me to take a detour. Fred with his defense again. It doesn't exist in this league anymore. And then he says, I can't name a team that has a legit defense anymore. Oh, well, let me just pull up the standings here. Oh, who's in first place in the East? The Miami Heat. Excellent defense. You can't say that team doesn't play defense. That's one of the best defenses I've ever seen. I've watched basketball since like 85, like on tape delay, right? The Milwaukee Bucks, the defending champions. They all play excellent defense, and we're going to get to the handicap tonight. But one of the reasons I think the Bucks are a championship contender, right, and the Bulls are not, is the Bucks top 3.
You're forgetting the best defense in the league.
Boston.
Okay.
That team up in Boston, they're playing defense like it's their job.
Yeah. So this idea that these teams, and you're right, during the regular season, I am probably overrating it. For the regular season, if you want to say, spread, you put too much on defense for the regular season, I'd say, yeah, you're right. But when you're building these futures, right, and you're going for the championship game, you got to play defense. Phoenix Suns, number 1 in the West. I mean, this team is built on defense. Gary, do you guys like playing people against the Phoenix Suns in DFS?
Only if they're running like a 7-8 man rotation.
And it's not because of pace. It's because of their ability to shut other people down.
I've heard all the DFS guys say that they don't like playing guys against the Heat.
Yeah.
That too, for sure.
Anyways, we're just having some fun here, and we always appreciate we the people jumping in there. But I had to take a quick detour because I had to point that out here. The Milwaukee Bucks, what I was just talking about, though, all three of their top offensive options are awesome on the defensive end, right? The weakest one of the three is Chris Middleton, and he's an above-average defender. He's got long arms. He gets good contests. He doesn't foul a lot. Giannis is unbelievable. Like the blocks that he makes to get those big wins, the play that he made when I was getting upset on the Miami loss 2 weeks ago, that was an incredible defensive play for him to jump over there and run like Jimmy Butler. And if you watch Drew Holiday and his ability to slow down the point of attack, right? He's got that as well. One of the top 5 defensive point guards in the NBA. So that's why I really like the Bucks as usual here. And I'm going to go back to defense, and you can say, hey, you shouldn't cap it in the regular season. But look what the Bucks can do. They can stop their opponent on the perimeter. Can the Jazz? No. It's like they're like a bunch of guys like me that can't stay in front of a guy and just turn around and watch the big guy save them when they couldn't stay in front of their guy. And that's what they're going to do with Rudy tonight. What I'm really curious about this game is, will Rudy get Giannis, and will he come outside on him, or will they switch and will they keep Rudy down low no matter what? Regardless, the Bucks can defend on the perimeter. The Jazz can't. Give me the Milwaukee Bucks. Tyler, let's go.
Spread, we've talked about this weird thing about teams when they go to Utah that they just can't seem to win.
And it's not partying.
Oh, and 19 in the last 19 trips here. I know this roster has been sent here probably 4 times.
Uh-huh.
But I
didn't know that.
That's 0-4.
That's good.
Remember,
knowledge.
we did this like last week. You were all over Dallas heading to Utah.
Uh-huh.
It's like I love fading this Utah team when they are not at home. There's something weird about this team. They go in there, that home court environment for them, teams just can't win there. I see Rudy's listed questionable. Bogdanovich and Forrest weren't at shoot-around this morning. And the biggest injury news of them all, Spread, and I can't believe you didn't touch on it, Brook Lopez is playing tonight.
Wow,
the dude hasn't played
excellent.
all year. Like, I know it doesn't mean much to like everything going on, but just to see him finally back in, it's like they're going to ramp him up for the playoffs. But if Rudy plays, I'm probably just going to stay away from this game just because I have this weird feeling Utah can keep it close and maybe sneak it out. So I'm going to stay away from it. But for the most part, if you had to pin me down, probably just give me Milwaukee's money line. But I'm staying away from this game altogether.
All right. I like Milwaukee here, but boy, you made some good points to scare me, and I haven't hit some.
Like if there's a trap on the board, it's Milwaukee -2 on the road.
And that's fair. I mean, I'll be honest. I've been just loving this Indian Wells here. So my preparation wasn't as good today as usual. So I missed the Brook Lopez news. I see that Mike Conley's in. Does he even matter at this point to the spread anymore, Tyler? I mean, for how awesome he was at Memphis, if you only watch like winning teams and winning basketball, you're not really seeing how good this guy was. So unfortunately, right? I just don't think Conley's that good anymore.
No, I agree. I don't think he's all that good anymore. But I mean, I guess the basketball IQ is still there at the point guard spot for him. That's why they keep him in there.
All right, Gary, how are you approaching this one?
I think I'm with you here. I like the Bucks here on the money line. Tyler, you said you got them at -2. I'm seeing +2. Where did you just misspeak about that?
I was pulling that off a Basketball Monster. It just says Milwaukee by 2. It might be flipped by now, but
yeah,
if they're +2, that's another reason why I think they're a trap.
On Bookmaker right now, they're +1.
Yeah, I'm seeing +2 on DraftKings, +120 on the money line. I think I'm going to roll with Milwaukee here. Bojan, I think, is a big deal for them. He didn't go through shoot around. That doesn't bode well for his availability. We know Milwaukee gets killed by the 3-pointer, and I think he's one of the guys that would be shooting them 3-pointers tonight, keeping them in the game and winning the game for him. I'm going Milwaukee, but if Bojan does sit from a DFS side, I mean, Donovan Mitchell is going to be able to do whatever he wants in this matchup. I don't really care about J-Rue or whatever. I mean, Donovan's just going to be chucking up threes the whole game. I like bringing him back on the other side with Giannis too. So that's probably the extent of my DFS wise. If Bojan somehow plays though, he's 5,600 on DraftKings and he should smash here if he plays.
I love the callback to our guy Jay Rue, the Damager. Great '90s rapper rolling with Gangstar and DJ Premier. I'm gonna have to start calling him that from now on. So, all right. Well, I love this game with Tyler. You know what? I was gonna play Milwaukee. You might have scared me off. This might be a no play, but you said they've lost 19 times in a row in Utah.
19 straight times trips to Utah.
So what? The last win was like 2003.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's good knowledge. I did not know that. Thank you for sharing that, Tyler. Last game on the slate. Easy handicap for me. Toronto Raptors head to Los Angeles to take on the Lakers. Lakers catching 4.5, total 224.5. Here's my handicap. Are the Lakers playing? Yes. Fade. All right, go on, Tyler. What's up?
Toronto.
I don't got much. I'm just going to bet against them.
Yeah, that's basically the breakdown. Fade Lakers. Toronto, first quarter, first half, full game. LeBron probably sits tonight. I have a weird feeling about that after last night. Mm-hmm. And even if he doesn't sit, the effort level is just not there for him anymore. So Toronto wins this game. They blow them out. Let's take a look at the player performance doubles and see what we can get on some of these first.
Okay, cool. I used to do a big breakdown there, right? But I didn't have much for that one right there. And Gary, if LeBron plays, of course, he has to be an option in DFS. There's a reason he's doing so well on offense, though. Some of those defensive possessions, man. I mean, I'm moving around more in my living room than he is on the defensive end.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this game?
Man, I think this game is a complete stay away from me, from DFS, from betting, everything. Yeah, the Lakers have been bad, but man, Toronto -5. I don't know if I can get behind that either. Yeah. And I like Tyler, think LeBron sits here too. There was some quote from Vogel the other day saying that how his knee feels worse after a game. So I think we might get a 5:30, 6:30 Eastern time questionable tag on LeBron. But from DFS, I mean, if he does sit, I mean, that's going to open up a lot, but I'm not sure where I'm going to be as far as my main team. But as of now, I'm not planning on having anybody in this game.
And that's an interesting question, right? So, of course, if you're making multiple lineups, you can backload and kind of wait for the news and just hope you get it before 10 East, 7 out here, right? Then, you can fill it in with Wizards, Warriors, Bulls, Kings, Bucks, and Jazz, right? But, I mean, we talked about games we really like. They're all earlier in the slate. Are you fine just not being able to make that pivot if it's necessary? Or are you a little worried that you might be loosiging an edge if he does get ruled out, right? And then, of course, there's going to be so much value on that Lakers side.
Well, based on my first look over of the slate, I might have a bit of this Bulls Kings game anyway.
Oh, so that would give you flexibility, right?
Yeah. And the Milwaukee Utah game. I mean, I love those two games late. So I think I am going to have a little bit of flexibility to kind of move around outside of the Clippers value that's going to lock the first game of the night.
Okay, cool. Well, that's excellent then. And then hopefully they're kind enough. Although I'll have to admit, when it comes to daily fantasy, I like Frank Vogel a lot better than our guy, Doc Rivers. Tyler, did you find any player performance doubles that we can attack?
Yeah, I mean, Gary Trent, 25-plus points in Toronto wins, plus 380. We know the guards for LA ain't playing no defense. If that three's hot, he's going to blow that number out of the water. Scotty Barnes, double-double and win. Scotty Barnes, 20-plus points and win. Scotty Barnes, 5+ assists and win. Gary Trent, 20+ points and win. And Barnes, 15+ points and win. I'd play all of those.
All right. I like the way that you're approaching this one. All right, Tyler, that is it for the slate. Let's move on to the best bets. Best bets for you today. Side, total, or prop? What do you got?
Give me Toronto -5. I think it's that easy.
All right. I'll happily join you. Gary, Tyler is fading the Lakers, which has been a profitable endeavor since the All-Star break. What are you on?
Yeah, so I'm down between two, but I don't think you're going to pick either one of them, which is good. But I'm going to go against y'all's 19 in a row losses in Utah.
All right.
I'm taking the Milwaukee Bucks money line tonight.
Yeah, and right, a streak's got to end at some time, right? And I'm with you today too. Just handicapping the game and the teams. I really like the way that Milwaukee matches up with Utah, but something going on there, Tyler. And we know it's not the party scene, right? We know it's not the party scene. So,
and that's with a couple teams spread that they just can't win there. I just don't get it.
Yeah. Here we go. Tyler, this is from We the People. His best bet is Rozier over on the points, rebounds, assists. He says, I'm not worried about Isaiah Thomas usage. I'm going back to my money maker as well. My best bet today will be the Timberwolves, right? You know my guy, Anthony Edwards, right? Big fan of A1 from day one. I hope he has a big night tonight. And, of course, I think it's a great matchup for the other two stars as well. But as I said earlier, you have one team that's pushing hard for the playoffs. Another team that's, hey, maybe that lottery pick wouldn't be that bad, right? We could use a Scotty Barnes level player. So I like the Timberwolves -3.5. Tyler, baseball's back, but we're still swinging for the fences. Do you have any parlays you'd like to give out?
Yeah, here we could build one right now. Let's see. I think the Hawks beat Portland pretty easily. So I say we plug in the Trae Young double and win as the first leg. We'll go to the Minnesota game for the next one. Mm-hmm. We'll go with the Cat double and win there. Mm-hmm. And then we'll drop to that Toronto game, and we'll take that Gary Trent 25+ points and win. That'll give us 22-1.
All right. That sounds excellent. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Gary, once again, thank you for jumping on. We always appreciate you coming on here. Just giving the clear, concise information, helping the people build their lineups, and, of course, giving us some betting insight as well. Any words for the people before we sign off?
Yeah, it should be a fun slate, I think. I mean, it's going to be Clippers heavy, value slate, and then we'll see where I land up. I know AP's got the playbook up already. Mm-hmm. His heat map, I don't know, is live. It looks like it's going to be live here shortly. We'll give you all some winners tonight. Come on over.
Yeah, and if you're curious to where Gary ends up, and you want access to him in that Discord, you need to become a member of runpuresports.com. Head on over, use that promo code, get bets. Fun show today for us, Tyler, and it's going to be a fun show tomorrow, right? You've gotten the better of me the last 2 weeks, but I'm hoping Jokic can get the win and I can do a little victory.
Really gonna suck if I beat you up for a week and then one guy takes me out in the first Monday of the week.
I'm not even betting on it. It's just more of like a bragging rights style thing.
Right after I get the bad news of my hometown football team signing the MVP.
I forgot. Can you believe how stacked the AFC is? First Russell Wilson, now Trubisky. How excited is everyone there?
Can you imagine walking into our quarterback room with Mitchell Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, and Dwayne Haskins?
Are there Yinzers over there that are talking themselves into this?
I mean, probably.
You got to send me some of those.
I seen somebody tweet out #Mitchberg already, so they might be buying in.
Man, see, that's how much I've been in the tennis. I meant to tease you about that, and I totally forgot. So, all right, thank you, everybody, for joining us. We will be back tomorrow. As always, run pure.